حمدا يليق بجلاله وكماله، ونصلي ونسلم على خيرته من خلقه وصفيه محمد بن عبد الله وآله وصحبه وكل من والاه واهتدى بهداه، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولا مناوئ، ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله ربه بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله، فبلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله تعالى به الغمة، فاللهم اجزيه عنا وعن والدينا والإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جزيت به نبيا عن أمته ورسولا عن رسالته، واحشرنا اللهم معه وفي زمرته وتحت لوائه يوم الدين، كما آمنا به صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم ولم نره، اللهم آمين. وارض اللهم عن الصحابة الكرام أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي ومن سار على نهجهم وأتى بعدهم واقتفى أثرهم، واجمعنا اللهم بهم في دار كرامتك ومستقر رحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، اللهم آمين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله تعالى، وأحسن الهدي هدي سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we seek help and assistance from Him. Whomever He guides, nobody can misguide, and whomever He leaves astray, nobody can show guidance. O Allah, guide us all to the straight path. O Allah, show us the right way as the right way, and give us the power and strength to adopt it and follow it, Ya Rabbil Alameen. And show us the wrong way as wrong way, and give us the power to stay away from it, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma Ameen. Indeed, the best speech is the book of Allah, and the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, نتحدث في هذه الدقائق المعدودات عن دوائر اهتمام المسلمين وأثر الإسلام في تحويل دائرة الاهتمام هذه مما كانت عليه قبل الإسلام إلى ما صارت عليه بعد ما صاغها الإسلام. We talk about the interest of the humans before accepting Islam and after accepting Islam. What is the impact of Islam on people, or what the impact of Islam should be on the followers of Islam? How did Islam reshape the mentalities of people, reshape the direction of people, the interests of people? Very quickly we know how the entire world was before Islam comes through Prophet ﷺ. Definitely Islam, with the broader sense, is the religion of all prophets, the salvation that came through all prophets. But here we are talking about the final version of it, the Islam that came through Nabi ﷺ, the final prophet and the seal of all messengers. The entire humanity كانت البشرية تتخطط. نموذج منها على سبيل المثال جزيرة العرب. Just as an example from the life of the world back then, an example for that is the life of Arabs in the Arab Peninsula. كانوا أحقر الأمم وأذلها. لم يكن لهم تاريخ يذكر بألسنة أدبائهم وشعرائهم. They had no mention whatsoever amongst our other nations. They had no history. They had no civilization. كانوا رعاء الشاة. They used to be pastors and people who, you know, if you talk about all kinds of setbacks, it was there. لا أخلاق لهم. تراق الدماء لأقل الأسباب. For the minor, the least, you know, reason or cause, you see a lot of bloodshed. Two people get in trouble with each other or something. The two tribes will start a war, and then the allies with this tribe and the allies with the other tribes, it will be a big war that will continue forever. You're talking about hundreds of years, sometimes, you know, even over 100 years, people fighting for no reason. على سبيل أو يعني فيما يتعلق بالأخلاق, they used to hate girls so much that they used to make وأد البنات or kill girls just because of the fact that they are girls. شربوا الخمور وقامروا وكان الربا هو المسيطر على الجزيرة في هذا الوقت. القوي يأكل الضعيف. القبلية كانت هي المسيطرة. It depends, to gain a status in society, it's by which tribe you belong to, which family you came from, how much money you got. The strong will dominate the weak. Monopoly was there. Usury was there. Slavery was there in the worst form. Everything was there. So they don't have any mention. You have civilization in Iraq, you have civilization in Syria, in Egypt, in China, and other parts of the world. But this part of the world was not known for any kind of civilization. حتى كانت الممالك التي تقوم ممالك هزيلة ضعيفة. They used to have little circles of control here and there, sometimes up there north in the parts of Iraq, Al-Manadhira, or in the borders of Syria, Al-Ghasasina, or south in Yemen. بعض الممالك قامت هنا وهناك, but they used to be allies to bigger states, superpowers. Those who were to the eastern side of Arabia, they used to ally with the Furs, not ally with them, actually follow them. They have to follow them, and they had no option. If Al-Furs Persia would wage a war against anybody that doesn't interest Arab or those tribes at all, they have to be part of it no matter what. They don't have any option. The other guys who are towards the Romans, they used to ally with the Romans or follow the Romans, and they don't have any options. So, bottom line, they had no civilization, they had no impact on history whatsoever. They had no mention amongst other nations. Then came Islam. Came Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet, with guidance, with light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فربى أجيال كانت هي القادة, كانوا هم القادة. And for 13 years in Mecca, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam invested all of his time with a very few people, investing in them, teaching them the very basics of Islam, not even as-salah was-siyam, not even the rituals of Islam, but the very basics of submission, how to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to be patient, and how to have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the face of all of these troubles and problems. And they were very few, but those will be the torch bearers for the next generations, the carriers or the transmitters of Islam from one person, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who got it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Jibreel, and they will take all of this light to the entire humanity. That's why Allah called them, and actually anybody who follows the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the best nation, group of people or nation set out for people. What did happen to those Arabs that we are talking about? Again, just as an example. Left behind, lagging behind, no mention amongst the world before Islam. What happened to them? They led the entire world. They started moving from Mecca. It didn't work out. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't want to get to be an enemy with nobody for no reason. They didn't accept it. He found sallallahu alaihi wasallam a better place, more receptive people in Medina. He moved to Medina. People accepted Islam. And Islam reshaped their interests in life, their direction in life. You see Umar radiallahu anhu, just few examples that we know. He was a typical mushrik. He worshipped, as far as aqidah, he worshipped a stone. As far as a strong young person, he would be ready to fight and kill anybody for almost no reason. This same Umar will be the Al-Khalifatul Adil, Al-Bakka, min khashyat Allah Azza wa Jal, Khadim al-Yatama wal-Aramil. He will be the same person, still strong and everything, but he will turn 180 degrees to serve an entire ummah, to go in the middle of the night checking on the widows and the orphans and the people in need, the one who's standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in prayer most of the night and crying out of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is one example how Islam changed those people. So Islam spread from Medina and they came back to Mecca. It dominates. It dominates the hearts before it dominates anything else. They carried the truth and they moved with the truth. And then the entire Arabia accepted Islam almost 100% at the time of the death of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the leaders, the people who were ready to take this Islam on this truth to the next generation or to the next level, they were there. They carried Islam to Al-Furs, War-Rum, and then they moved all the way to North Africa, Egypt and Libya and all of these parts, big parts of Africa. And then they moved up north to the southern part of Europe and the central part of Europe. And then they moved to the east as well, Persia and all the way to China and India and big parts of most of Asia back then. And until nowadays, all of these parts, even though they might be ruled by non-Muslims or something, Muslims are still there. So, Islam, changed those same people who used to have no history into people like Ibn Sina, Al-Farabi, Al-Bayruni, Ibn Al-Haytham, and you name, into scholars whose interests become like leading the world, making a change in science, in all aspects of civilization, in all aspects of life, and leading with truth, and establishing values, and supporting and helping others. When they came to Egypt, for example, Christians were there, a lot of denomination, they were persecuting one another. It was only when Islam came to Egypt that it settled, it set peace even between other people. And until nowadays, Christians are still there, enjoying their religion and practicing their religion as they wish. Morocco, until nowadays, Jews were there. Palestine, Jews have always been there, practicing their religion. Parts of Yemen, wherever you go, until in India nowadays, you see Buddhists and everything, even though at one point in history, it was all dominated by Muslims. So Islam came to carry truth. Islam came to change people. But Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wants, He would send angels. Or even with no angels, He would force it on people. He would spread it. But we are not angels. We are not like machines who will be directed. We are the special creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah gave us the power of choice. The power of choice to choose. That's why He kept it on this ummah. The mission, مهمة هذه الأمة كما بينها الله. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. You are the best nation. Kuntum bimim al-jam'. This meme that refers to the plural includes me and you and every Muslim by definition. Kuntum, you, the plural you, Muslims. You are the best nation that is set out for people. So any Muslim by definition has certain responsibility towards the world. Linnas, towards people, not only to himself. Yes, we always teach that you have to take care of yourself. Stay away from al-ma'siyah, take care of your family, but we do need to understand that we have a mission towards the world. The mission to transform the world from oppression into justice, from all of these wrong things into the right thing. خرجنا كما بتعبير أحد الصحابة لنخرج العبادة من عبادة العباد إلى عبادة رب العباد. We came all the way to here, according to one of the Sahaba, talking to one of the leaders of the enemies, and he said, we came to set people free from being servants or from the servitude to other people into servitude to the Lord of all people. That's who we are, and that's how we should behave. So, how far the standard is there? How far me and you are from this standard? We all live for ourselves, which is good. You live for yourself, for your family, you are interested, you care for yourself, for your family. But if you live only for that, then what could be the difference between a Muslim and non-Muslim? Because every non-Muslim as well, he knows and she knows that they have to do well in order, in their education, in order for them to get a good job. They know that they have responsibility towards their family. They know all of these things. The difference is there. That a Muslim is worried and he cares and she cares about the entire humanity. How can we do that? You can do that in so many ways. Just first of all in adopting this message of Al-Quran, in believing in this message of Al-Quran, in taking the message of Al-Quran seriously. And that's not going to happen if you believe in it just as an obligation. You have to do it. You are a Muslim, we are Muslims, we got to do that. It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference in the communal level. So, one of the fine differences that I was thinking about for some time is what could be the difference between us and those people who were few in number. They had no civilization, no history, no background, but yet they managed to make the difference. I guess it's because of the interest. They become interested. It become like a hobby for them. Not a hobby, it become like a passion for them. They accepted Islam, they took it and they believed in it and they love it. So I have my own circle of interests and hobbies and stuff that when I do these things, I love to do them. So I can go out of track, I can spend some money, I can take part of my time to do that. Why? Because I love it. And you are the same. You do certain things that you do for passion. You love them. You can go out of track. You can reserve some time to do that, even if it might not be like very beneficial for you, but you do it because you love to do that. You spend some time doing something because you love to do. When we manage to take al-Islam from the circle of obligation, that yes, we have to do that, we have to pray 5 times a day. Actually, Islam didn't come for you to pray 5 times a day. That's not the goal. That's not the goal at all. Islam came for a higher purpose. That comes just like on the way to help you achieve something. So when we manage to transform ourselves and the way how we look at ourselves and we look at our existence and our entity here in this life, why are we here? Who is Allah? What is the mission of Islam? How I'm related to it? When we manage to change this mentality and make Islam at the circle of our interests, at the circle of our concern, that we live for it, that we care for it. Unfortunately, many people think that by this rhetoric that I'm speaking, you mean that you do not care for yourself. You do not make money, for example. You do not have fun. You should dissociate yourself from so of the many good things that we have nowadays, which is completely wrong. Those same people, they had very good shooters. They had very wealthy people who were making money and continue to make good money and live good life in palaces. That's way better than any palaces that we have nowadays. We had everything, normal people. We had scientists and researchers, and we have everything you could think of. It's all on us to change the campus into looking at Islam as a passion for us, as something that we love. So you will dedicate automatically, without anybody telling you, you will dedicate part of your time to think, how could I make a change in the world? How could I be part of something good, something positive that can be added to this ummah, to this community, to the people anywhere else? You know, when we think only of that place we live in, when we think only of ourselves or our families or the place, the city we live in or the country we live in, and we don't care about anybody else, that's a good sign that, you know, this kind of person is narrow-minded, is not 100% qualified to be to get to the mimul jam'u kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas, because Allah is describing Muslims as being sit out for people, and He is sit out only for Himself. Well, good. Stay in there, fine, but you're not going to make any difference in history. You will stay as you are. What happened when you look at the history? What happened for this ummah that came from nothing, into leaders of a big civilization, when they took Islam, and what happened to them when they abandoned al-Islam? We talk about this a little bit after جلسة الاستراحة. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين الآثمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله رب العالمين، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله الأمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحابته أجمعين. So what happened to the ummah, which is the best ummah, supposedly set out for people, when they took this Islam? What happened to them is they changed it, as we mentioned, from nothing, from being zero or even minus, into a very positive ummah, an ummah that led the entire world in a time that needed very badly, you know, this kind of leadership. May I ask the brothers to move forward, inshallah? تفسحوا يفسح الله لكم. If you can move forward and come to this side of the masjid to make room for the brothers who are still coming, inshallah. So this ummah, when they adopted Islam, we saw all of these stages in the history of civilization. We saw all of these changes in the life of so many people around the world up until nowadays. It becomes like a guiding civilization for the next civilization, for the European Renaissance that built mostly in the Islamic civilization amongst other civilizations that were there. And now the cycle is going the other way around. When they abandon Islam, it's the same thing. They will become followers. They will follow other superpowers. They will be dominated. They will not be mentioned, even in what is related to them. What's going to happen to the people in Syria? The decision has nothing to do with Arabs, or even to the Syrians, in the most part. Those who are decision makers. What's going to happen to the Arab Spring, or whatever they call it? Well, the decision is definitely not there. So, we lost the direction. We lost the direction. We see all kinds of oppression. Just like we came back to Arabia before Islam. You see every kind of thing is there. Oppression, bloodshed, strong dominating the weak, usury, every kind of thing. You see it in there. You see it in there. Why? Well, it's clear. Many people are trying to make the vision in front of us like unclear. Oh, you don't want to go back. It's because of Islam. It's because you don't want to go back to the Middle Ages or to the age of tents and camels. Well, are we naive? It was only because of Islam that we become an ummah, that we had, this kind of nation. I came from, Egypt, for example. Somebody came from Saudi Arabia. Well, they were killing each other before Islam. Yes, we used to have a civilization thousands of years ago, but at the time of Islam, they were killing each other. In Arabia, for example, all of these Gulf countries, they had nothing in hand. They had nothing. They had no civilization whatsoever. And now, after we give the world all of these scientists, all of this big civilization. Now we think that it was because of Islam that we are suffering now. It's actually the opposite. It's because we abandoned this Islam. We abandon it, or we change it, or we amend it, or we take it our way. Only when we come back to the al-manhaj al-nabawi, manhaj al-wahy, the way, the formula, the prescription that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to humanity through us. He gave it to us not only for ourselves. Allah gave us something special, like apparel, like light, for us, and for us to take it to the next level, to the other ummah. So let's think broadly. Let's read the ummah now. Al-ummah الآن في مرحلة المخاض. We see what we are seeing, and it looks like close to Al-Ahd al-Makki, a lot of persecution against Muslims, and this is probably the time that some people, maybe few, they had to stand up for the truth. They had to stand up in the middle of all of that, so the ummah will go, inshallah, safely from this kind of labor thing, and it will be born again, and it will gain its power, and it will lead with the truth, and it will guide people in the middle of all of these things that's happening in the world, not only in the Muslim world, in the Islamic world, and all over the world. Without the guidance of the creator of this earth, of the creator of the universe, the world will not find, the ship of the world will not find the right way to sail. It will only find the right way to sail if we get the direction from the creator of the world, direction from the one who knows how to give direction. نسأل الله عز وجل أن يجعلنا من حقا من خير أمة أخرجت للناس. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us be qualified to carry the mission of Islam and to live for the mission of Islam and to implement the mission of this religion in our lives and to be guides for other people and for other nations. Ya Rabb al-Alameen. Allahumma hdina wa hdi bina waj'alna sababan liman ihtada. اللهم علمنا ديننا وفقهنا فيه وفهمنا ما أنزلته فيه يا رب العالمين. Give us understanding of Islam يا أرحم الراحمين. Give us passion of Islam يا رب العالمين. Make it part of our interest. Make it number one interest for us يا أرحم الراحمين. Make us love your deen and live for your deen. And make the change in our life because of your deen يا رب العالمين. اللهم لا تجعل بأسنا بيننا يا رب العالمين. اللهم لا تجعل بأس المسلمين بينهم يا رب العالمين. Oh Allah, make Muslims united and strong, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Oh Allah, anybody who is working against this who is working to dissociate Muslims, O Allah, تكفل به يا أرحم الراحمين. Take care of him يا رب العالمين. O Allah, bring the Muslims back together to be united يا رب العالمين. O Allah, bring the Muslims to be united under your deen يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك يا مولانا سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأقم الصلاة.